right, so in the spirit of keeping to time, while my panel gets on stage, I will kick us off, but thank you so much for spending the afternoon with us. And I also wanted to acknowledge the contributions of my colleague, Dr. Joseph Curtin, who's been leading this work on behalf of the foundation. For those who don't know us, the foundation has been around for 110 years, and we've been focused on a mission of advancing the well-being of humanity. And we're in this space specifically because we feel that this is the moment that we need to ensure that we're looking at human vulnerability and the changes that we actually need in order to drive a just transition. And that's why most recently, and that's what Claire just said, we've been focused on climate change. That is our recent mandate. And over the next 5 years, we'll commit $1 billion to make sure that we ensure a just transition. Now, part of this work, and this is why this panel and the work here is so important, transition credits, carbon markets, like Andrew mentioned, are a critical part of this ecosystem. And so we're very grateful that the COP28 presidency has put its weight behind this idea, and that we're really providing a platform for actors across this ecosystem to make this a reality. We're taking a portfolio approach to the work at the foundation here. And so as Andrew mentioned, and joined by some of our colleagues from Bezos Earth Fund, we've been working on a number of different things. One was the Energy Transition Accelerator that was mentioned earlier today to create a marketplace for buyers and sellers to come together around these credits and catalyzing private sector to come into the space. We've also launched the Coal to Clean Credits Initiative in June, where we're, in that instance, creating a methodology to try to monetize carbon savings that enable us to retire coal plants early and replace them with clean power. And just yesterday, the 3CI methodology and team announced a new collaboration with other organizations, ACEN and MASS, who were joined here today to explore a pilot project in the Philippines, which we're very excited about. And if successful, this would be one of the first of its kind projects in the world. And so I'm excited to hear more from our panelists and to learn from them today around the opportunity that we had at hand. So let me go over and introduce our panel and get this conversation started. I think since I'm mic'd, you can hear me. Yes, perfect. Okay, great. So I'm thrilled to introduce our panel. I'm joined here today by 4 individuals. First is Eric Francia. He is the President and Chief Executive Officer of ACEN Corporation, and under his leadership, Ayala has become one of the largest renewable energy platforms in the Asia region. I'm also joined here today by Ravi Menon, who is the Managing Director of the Monetary Authority of Singapore, or MAS, and he has been in that role since 2011. Darmawan Prasojo is the CEO of PLN, Indonesia's largest power utility, or only power utility. And then Cleo Kawawaki is the head of the Office of Markets Development and Public-Private Partnerships at the Asian Development Bank. And so in terms of process, I'm going to start with each panelist. I'm going to have one question each, and then hopefully we'll get to more than one because I'd love to elicit a conversation from these esteemed guests. So first, Eric, I'm going to start with you. So as mentioned, yesterday our organizations announced our intention to work together to explore the world's first coal to clean project in the Philippines, leveraging transition credits. And so could you tell us a little bit more about the pilot and how transition credits could be used to help bring forward the retirement date of this plant?
Thank you, Liz, and a pleasant good afternoon to everyone. Perhaps just a little bit of context, ACEN, the listed energy platform of Ayala Group, has made a shift from fossil fuel to renewables around 5 years ago. We decided to go for 100% renewable energy generation by 2025. So we've scaled up. We used to be more than 80% coal, thermal, and 20% renewables. We'll flip that around. We're now close to 98% renewables, targeting 100% by 2025. And therefore, it entailed a responsible divestment of coal plants. And this was 2 years ago. We then decided to divest SLTech, a 246 megawatt coal plant, but we were given a very hard-hitting questions by some of our ESG investors, such as, aren't you just passing that problem to somebody else by divesting? And they had a point, and we had a dilemma. But we wanted to be 100% renewables because then ESG investors will not invest in us, and how can we scale up if we were not 100% renewables? So thanks to the idea, the eureka moment for us when ADB was pushing for this concept of ETM, which was not so familiar to us. And we said that this can be done in a market-based, driven by the private sector, so that we can move faster. And that's what we did. And the good news is that we closed the world's first market-based ETM about a year ago, in November of 2022. We've already gotten the proceeds, and we're in the process of redeploying that capital. With that divestment comes a commitment to retire the coal plant after 25 years of operations, which is 2040. Coal plants typically last until 40 plus years, so therefore there is that additionality. However, we said that given that IEA maintains, and we believe in the science, International Energy Agency, that 55% of the coal plants globally should be reduced between 2022 to 2050 and close to zero by 2040. So we thought that while it is ambitious for us to retire by 2040, we gave ourselves the optionality of accelerating that and potentially retire the coal plant by 2030 in a responsible and just manner. But as you all know, we don't run a charity, we run a sustainable enterprise. So we believe, and it was mentioned earlier, that one such mechanism that will help us realize this aspiration, this increased ambition, is a combination of not only blended finance, but I think I cannot agree more with what has been said earlier, that transition credits is a huge opportunity to really unlock the potential of accelerating coal plants. We need to do it in a just manner. Number one, we need to replace those foregone cash flows of the coal plants to justify to our shareholders. Number two, we need to ensure that we have clean energy replacement. And by clean energy, I just don't mean build more solar and wind. It needs to be reliable, dispatchable. We don't